here with my tag team partner in podcasting, Jerry Valeri. What is going on, buddy?
Shot out of a cannon today, Rob. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm feeling good, too. I feel like we're going to have a good show today. Plus, Raw gave us a good bit to talk about, I feel like. You ready to get into this?
That was a good go-home show, as they say. It set up quite a bit.
Yeah, and not only that, because a lot of times the go-home shows are very focused on Sunday, but this show last night was fun to watch in and of itself because of the Jericho thing that was going on the whole show.
He came out, and he was just like, looked so sad.
But he was like, last night was the Chris Jericho show. Like, because he was, I mean, there wasn't a 45-minute period where we didn't see him.
Right. They'd come out of commercial break with him. They'd go into commercial break with him.
He interacted with
the show. He ended the show.
Yeah, but he was sporadic throughout the middle. And that's what I like. Like, think of it, for example, like a I don't want to say a soap opera, but like, I don't know, like a drama show, you know, like, I don't know what you watch. Maybe, you know, used to be Dawson's Creek or 90210 back in the day, or maybe you're into like This Is Us now on TV or Walking Dead. But there's some angles that should play out over the season. Think of that like the month for wrestling, and then there's some that should be like just for that episode, and some that carry over for like a few weeks. You know what I mean? Like different.
Exactly. Like an episodic. Like you've got to wrap. They wrap up this little story, but they still have the overlining story arc. Yeah,
you know what I mean. So like there should be different lengths of angles, and I feel like last night did a really good job of that. Like you had. Jericho had, I mean, there's the list, which has been going on for several months, but it also was its own thing last night. And you've got like, you know, Enzo and Kaz feuding with the Gallows and Anderson, which has been like a week or two. And then you've got Roman Reigns and Rusev, which has been several months. You've got Sasha and Charlotte, which goes back to NXT. Like that to me is a good pacing.
Yeah, and then you've got little guys like Braun Strowman and Sami Zayn that are just brand new.
Yeah, and you've got the cruiserweights, and you've got you know, Goldberg and Lesnar, which I mean I would call that new, although you could say it goes back to WrestleMania 20, but I'm not saying this one is, you know, 12 years in the making, like it's Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton or something. It's
well paced. It's not as rushed. The writing's a little bit better on both shows. I think it's been pretty good. Raw was good, and I enjoyed Jericho again as always. I mean, I could go through and just give you quotes of the things he said that made me laugh, like when he was with Jinder Mahal and like Titus O'Neil backstage, and he was like, "That's a dumb brand," and then he was like, "Stupid." I gave Jericho a quote of the night too, which I can give to you now or I can give to you later. Although I will say one of our regular viewers, Tony, did clue me into a really good line of the night from Corey Graves. Corey Graves had a couple. There's one that I'm trying to remember right now and I can't. I should have written it down. And then I saw the one Tony gave you. You should share it.
Yeah, Tony, I'll loosely quote because I don't have it in front of me. But the one Tony noticed, which he gave it to me right before. I was watching it on DVR just a few minutes behind. So he gave it to me right before I saw it. But the one Tony suggested was when talking about next week's Halloween episode, which I'm excited for. I love when any show goes Halloween, whether it's like a cartoon or anything. Yeah. Like I love when stuff goes Halloween. He hopes that Byron Saxton dresses like an empty chair. Really good line. Before that, I actually gave the line of the night to Chris Jericho, but not one of the ones you mentioned.
What did he do?
He was interacting after that segment, which, by the way, I did love that segment because, well, I'll get to that. The line was with Stephanie, and it was so subtle, but I rewound it to make sure I quoted it properly. Oh, I was laughing so hard when Stephanie was kind of fussing about being put on the list. Chris Jericho was trying to convince her that she wasn't on the list. And part of his reasoning, like, you know, I would never put you on the list. He said, quote, "We haven't had a crossword in the entire 16 years I've been here. We both know that."
I heard that too. And they used to be at each other's throats.
I don't know your timeline of watching, but like in 2001, 2000-ish, I mean, it was the garbage bag, trash bag, hoe, you know, all the big boob stuff. I don't know if you were watching in like 2000 through 2002 or not, but I mean, he was brutal on her, especially leading up to like WrestleMania 18 in Toronto when he fought with Triple H for the title. But just the line, we haven't had a crossword in the entire 16 years I've been here. We both know that.
We both know that. And she just gave him a look like, okay.
Yeah, well, she didn't even sell it. She no-sold it, which was the best way to do it. So that was, in my opinion, line of the night. But he had some good stuff with those undercard guys. And one of my notes about that segment was that was really good because it continued with that show long angle, which I was telling you I was already high on. And it got the little guys' gimmicks over. Like all those guys back there, with the possible exception of Titus, have a gimmick. Like you had the Shining Stars or Shooting Stars, whatever their name is. I always say it wrong. And they're selling the the Dominican Republic timeshares or whatever. And then you had Jinder doing.
No, they're selling Puerto Rican, and he was like, "I hate the Dominican."
Yeah, or whatever it is. That's why I was confused. And then you've got a nice scarf on Titus. You had Jinder Mahal, and eventually it went to Braun Strowman, and everyone got their gimmick in real quickly. But it was kind of giving them a brush with the main event for a second, which was good.
They've gone attitude era with the writing a little bit.
Yeah, but in the right way, though. It did feel like a Russo segment. Like Russo wrote, Vince Russo.
Right.
Which is a good thing to me. He was my favorite writer. As long as you have someone to rein him in, to me, he was the best at that stuff. He pretty much wrote the Attitude Era. But then again, he wrote the crap too, that got WCW underwater. So if you give him a governor like a Vince McMahon, I feel like he's a genius.
Because he wrote the death of WCW pretty much.
Absolutely, because he wasn't governed. But when you had someone like Vince McMahon there to rein him in when appropriate, I felt like he was aces. And a lot of people disagree with me. That's a very controversial opinion among serious wrestling fans, but I'm very pro Russo. So
I'm anti-Russo now. I hate he runs his mouth on Kevin Owens and a lot of the guys. I just don't think.
I listened to his podcast. I listened to all of them, and he's getting a bad rap on Owens. What he's saying about Owens is not exactly equal to the way it's being reported.
Okay, because it sounds like he's just saying Owens couldn't get over. He said that David Arquette was more over as a champion than Owens is. It's pretty inflammatory stuff to say.
I do hear it firsthand. I don't read it. I listen to it. I listen to the brand. I like it. I recommend it. He's a guy who knows what he's talking about. He's not as articulate as I wish he was for a podcast host, but I do like what he has to say about wrestling. He just says that he thinks that Kevin Owens, what does he say? Like he could lose some weight. And he's not over in the traditional sense, but he doesn't really. He said,
"See, I think Owens is over, and I think last night really proves his versatility. Like he's funny when he needs to be, but he is super brutal. The end of the night, man, he was intense."
Just to wrap up the Russo thing, his problem is with Owens' character. He likes the guy portraying him. And he just kind of feels like there's no character there. There's a lack of a character, which I understand. Oh, and he's like, if he's doing a prize fighter character, a lot of his motivations counter that of someone who's a prize fighter kind of thing, which does kind of make sense. Some of his motivation is not in tune with his character.
But Brock Lesnar is more of a prize fighter.
So, but who's doing the prize fighter gimmick? Kevin Owens is, so there's that. So I recommend his, I like Russo. I'm pro him. A lot of people aren't. And his stuff on Owens, I do think it's over exaggerated. He's the first one to admit that. He's not anti Owens, but we'll get off of that. We'll talk about Raw last night. It started with a very, what I would call, it's safe to say we both found that opening segment very enjoyable.
Yeah. Super entertaining.
Yeah. The list is over.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
the list is more over than some of the women in the women's division. That's for sure.
The list is more over than a lot of the guys.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure. So I thought the opening segment was a lot of fun. And then they quickly did something a little subtle that I just hated. You want to take a guess?
No, go for it.
They're doing something I just hate in promoting Hell in a Cell, they're using the term triple main
event. I should have guessed.
I hate double main events, but I certainly hate a triple main event.
How do you do a triple main event? Is it going to be back-to-back-to-back cells?
I don't think so. I doubt it. I think they're going to space them out.
If you're going to call it a triple main event, you're going to put them all at the end, right?
Listen, you know how like the ECW did it like once, and WCW kind of used to do when they had so many rings going? If you have more than one match going on at one time, sure, that's a triple main event. But they're not. One match is going to go last. Okay?
Yeah, you have one main event, and it's going to be Rollins and Owens, or should be.
If you have 3 battle royals going on at one time, sure, you've got a triple main event. If you've got a double Jeopardy match where literally 2 matches are taking place in one ring, sure, you've got a double main event.
If I eat a breakfast burrito for breakfast, and then I have pancakes for lunch, and then at dinner I have some waffles and some bacon, did I have triple breakfast? Is that triple breakfast?
You just had breakfast for dinner.
Right.
That's all you had. One of these matches is going to go last. And one of these matches is going to get more attention going into the show than others. That match is the main event.
And that match is Owens and
Correct.
Rollins.
Yes, that is the main event.
Oh, and then the second, if you're going to have a second main event, is definitely the women, and then Rusev and Roman Reigns. Boy, my prediction of Roman Reigns and Rusev and Hell in a Cell is so much less impressive now because they gave everybody a cell match.
That's the thing. I actually disagree. And maybe this is, I don't want to come down the women because the women are doing such a great job. I would actually put the women third.
Well, I put the women third as far as my personal interest, but as far as how they're hyping it, they're hyping women more.
So if you take the past 2 weeks, I agree with you. If you take the past 2 months, I disagree with you.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I feel like they crowbarred that in.
And I do believe the order of the cells will go Reigns and Rusev, women, Rollins, and Owens.
And if we can jump ahead just for a second, you may disagree with me, and this may just be a weird thought, but you know, I'm a Mick Foley guy. I love Mick Foley. I mark out, and when he was,
I wonder if we're going to the same place here.
So last night he's doing the thing with Charlotte and Sasha, and he's yelling at him and he's telling him how dangerous it is, and you have to look me in the eye, and he's like yelling at them to sign this contract. And I thought, like, here they are. This is just me. Here they are trying to say that the women can do what the guys can do, promoting the women. This is the first thing ever. But he's not warning Rusev and Roman Reigns. He's not telling them, hey, guys, you sure you know where you're getting into? Because this is pretty brutal. I can't feel my hip, and I can't walk anymore. And he doesn't say that to Rollins and Owens, but he's like, hey, girls, you girls sure you're going to be okay in there? Because it's, like, for real now. Like, I thought it came off, as much as I love him, as pretty sexist and kind of misogynist in, like, an indirect and not unintentional way.
So I love this because we did not talk about this at all. This particular segment, we didn't really talk about the show at all, but this particular segment, we haven't talked about at all. And you mirror my thoughts on this.
Okay.
I didn't really go the sexist route, although I see you. I agree with you. You're right. He's not doing that for the guys. It's are you delicate flowers ready for this danger?
Yeah.
But to me, I hated that promo last night. And it's because it came, I guess, I wrote the word desperate. You could also use the word cliche. It wasn't necessary. Like, reserve that passion for, when he's done that passion in the past, it felt necessary.
Right.
And this time it felt forced. That's the word I want to use. I want to use forced and unnatural.
Yeah, I thought and I love it. And when he was talking, I still enjoyed it because it's Mick Foley cutting a hell of a promo. How many more of those are you going to get?
Right.
But it was forced. And, you know, it's kind of like the cells. You know, how I feel about him in that segment is how I feel about 3 cell matches at Hell in the Cell. I am a Hell in the Cell. I am a Hell in the Cell mark. And I love that match. So part of me is like, there's a worse way to spend your Sunday night than watching 3 Hell in a Cell matches. You know, like it's going to be okay. Like at the end of the day, I still got 3 cell matches. I'm okay with it. But it's too many. It is too many. They forced a couple down your throat, and you could have just done one, and it would have been just as special, if not more. Same thing with the Mick Foley promo. It's like, I love Mick Foley, so on a base level, I'm in because I'm enjoying watching you, but we don't need it, and it's coming off like, why aren't you trying to protect the other people in the matches? It's weird.
I agree completely. What I wish they would do in October is, instead of Hell in the Cell, because I love that this is the night before Halloween, I wish they would just take Halloween Havoc. I know they'll never do it, which was such a great brand.
That was great.
And just give us a cell match. You know, and just like go with the spooky gimmick. It's literally the night before Halloween, Mischief Night, All Hallows Eve, you know, or whatever you want to call it. That would be such a great way to do this.
Have they taken any WCW pay-per-views and adopted? I'm trying to think. I mean,
Clash of Champions.
Clash of Champions. That's a good one. Because Starrcade they'll never do.
Bash at the Beach. There might even be more than that I can't think of.
Halloween Havoc and Starrcade were my favorites.
Yeah, well, Starrcade was like their WrestleMania. Halloween Havoc had like its life of its own, you know, kind of like a Royal Rumble in a way. You looked forward to it in a different way because of the name. And I do wish they would just keep it the weekend surrounding Halloween, give us a cell match, and call it Halloween Havoc. Me,
it would work for
personally.
Me.
So that's the way. And I'm so with you. Yeah, I don't mark out for Hell in a Cell the way you do. For every great Hell in a Cell match that you love, I could show you a garbage one that I hate. But you were there. You have a different relationship. You were there when Foley fell off the cell. I know you love those, and I don't want to take that away from you. I don't have a problem with the cells as long as they're done right. But in no circumstances is three in one night the right decision.
Now, will you be able to come to terms with it if the women end up outperforming all other matches?
Of course. Absolutely. Absolutely,
now,
I will.
Will it take more than blood for you? Because I think that's what they're planning. I think Charlotte's going to bleed like a pig.
I don't know that I agree with that. I don't know. You might not be wrong, but they don't really approve of blood much anymore in this recent era, in this PG era.
I know, but if she starts wearing the crimson mask like her daddy did, that might be something weird.
Blood is a good prop, but it's not going to make it or break it for me. Right. And there's several times when the girls have the match of the night. You know, that NXT Takeover show actually, I could think of at least 2 Takeover shows that the girls had the best match of the night. So they could certainly do it on Sunday, and I'm more than happy to admit it. I'm not opposed to the women. I'm opposed to this particular cell match. I'm trying to think about, and it's funny because I feel like the only feud that's going to be resolved in the cage, and that's what you're supposed to use it for, is Rusev and Roman Reigns. Like, that's going to be the resolution, and that's the one that needed to be in the cell, and the other ones, I don't know. Yeah. I'm trying to think of how they're going to get Jericho into the cell. It's going to happen. Maybe, yeah, and you're right. I think the only one that will be resolved, if any, will be that one. You're right. So let's keep going here. Oh, I liked it's people might be. I could see myself going either way on this, but I really liked the way the invisible microphone bit went off with Enzo and Cass last night. So well. Didn't it go off so well? Now, I don't like when they become sing-alongs. However, when you threw the invisible mic in, you made it unique. Absolutely. Like, you have the invisible mic. He works the crowd. And that's the one advantage to a sing-along. Everybody knew the words. Correct. Yeah, that's what I don't like about them. But to do something like when the Road Dogg comes out, I hate it. And when The Godfather came out, I hate it. I don't like those pre-written spiels. Enzo always finds a way to make it different, but he's got the chorus of the song, so to speak. Right. Bada boom. Yeah. You know, SAWFT. Like, the crowd was so into that part. Like that was cool. I like the way they did that last night. I was totally cool with that. And I'm glad they're fine. Hasn't it been 2 pay-per-views, Raw brand, that they've been absent from? It feels like it, or they've fought like the Shining Stars. They never even resolved that. Remember, they just kept losing to the Shining Stars and never got a win back. Well, you're right. Yeah, they didn't resolve that. But no, I think because they were off the last Raw pay-per-view. What was that? Was that what was the name of the last Raw one?
I don't know. I won it though. Whatever it was.
Clash of the Champions.
Clash of Champions was theirs, right? And Backlash was SmackDown.
And then I don't think.
Track.
Oh, they were on SummerSlam. Was there another Raw one I'm missing? Weren't they?
No.
Or were they all? Were they off SummerSlam? They were on SummerSlam. They were in the first match. All right. Yeah. So, but it's been since SummerSlam. That's 2 months.
Right. They need to get back involved because they get the biggest pop. They're one of the big pops of the night. I can't even say they get the biggest pop anymore because I think Jericho's getting it.
Yeah, no, but they're right up there. They're neck and neck with the top. Okay, I've actually thought. I want to get your thought on this because you made a crass comment about Curtis Axel when we were talking off the air earlier today. I thought he came off really well last night. Am I on an island? Feel free to disagree. I
don't think you're on an island. I just I've never been a big fan of him.
I mean, I haven't been a big fan of him, but I think he's been underutilized.
Right. I don't see him getting over this feud. I mean, if we're going to lock in, I think that he and Bo Dallas will have a pre-show match, and I think Bo Dallas is going to get over even more. They're pushing Bo Dallas for some reason.
Well, let me just say this about Curtis Axel. While I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of Curtis Axel, I would say I am a fan of Curtis Axel, and I'll also say the only reason he has not gotten over is because of bad writing and not because of bad performing. There's a lot of people who haven't gotten over because they suck. Adam Rose, Bo Dallas, Jack Swagger. These are people who are getting over, who are not getting over because of, they're failing to connect. I do feel like the Axel Mania stuff was such a mistake, and then there was the ill time because that was right before the racist rant came out, and this is a guy who's got a lot of ability. I think he's good on the mic. I think he's okay on the mic. I think he's good in the ring. I'd love to see. He has a good
look.
Yeah, and he's got the lineage. I'd love for him to get a real shot.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I just haven't seen. I thought if the Social Outcasts would have been a pretty good opportunity for him. Him and Heath Slater, I thought were going to come out smelling like roses there, but it just didn't work out.
All right. Well, let's just say they get a pre-show match. I will say, after this conversation, I'm now invested in it because I want him to do well. I don't want Bo Dallas to do well. I want Curtis Axel to do well.
Bo Dallas is going to win. I'm locking in. I'm one step closer to winning 3 in a row.
I'm not. Well, I haven't made our predictions episode is next.
3 in a row.
So that's a lock-in on a match that isn't even announced.
Right. Lock it in.
All right. Hold on. I'm getting the sound.
If the match doesn't happen, obviously the lock goes away.
All right. All right. I haven't locked in yet, but there you go. Sure. Congratulations. Right. You locked in.
Thank you. That's the only one I can lock in on. The rest are so tough.
I have 2 more notes from the show last night.
Okay.
You don't take notes, do you? You just kind of interact with mine, right?
I let you just roll, and if I make a note, it's because I want to remember a quote or something. But the things that I really wanted to focus on today, that I wanted to make sure I hit, I'll remember. I remember Mick Foley, and I remember the one coming up that eventually I'm going to say.
So, not only did I have a really strong dislike for the Mick Foley promo, I had a very strong dislike for the Paul Heyman promo as well.
What in the hell happened?
Okay,
what happened?
I have an explanation, a possible explanation. I feel like a lot of people ask, because nowadays they're going to what's called quote unquote scripted promos, as in they're literally scripting some of their promos. I don't think they're scripting Paul Heyman's promos, but I don't think they gave Paul Heyman a plan B. I think that they went out there expecting the crowd to be pro Goldberg, and that didn't happen, and that threw them off the rails. What was your take on what you saw last night before I share my thoughts?
First of all, I think that it was planned, right? Paul planned to sound like he was flubbing when he was introducing Goldberg, right? Or did his brain shut off?
When he kept saying like that thing?
Right.
I think that was planned.
Okay, because I kind of thought like, oh, holy crap, he's having a stroke.
No, that part wasn't where my problem was.
No, I know where you and I. So that happens, and then he rebounds, and I'm like, okay, so maybe it was planned because he's your typical Paul. And then like
I felt like that was a sickened stutter, like that garbage kind of thing.
Right. And then he gets like one. I mean, they're chanting Suplex City. It's all I can hear. And he says, "Oh, a Goldberg fan." I'm like, where do you see a Goldberg fan?
That's
like,
exactly what I was saying.
Like, where did you hear Goldberg? Like, I see the signs, but I don't hear them. I hear Suplex City. And then they start chanting, "Goldberg sucks." And I was like, so I didn't think of it the way you did, but you're probably right. He didn't have a plan B. It was awful. Why do you march Brock Lesnar out after Goldberg delivers? And I know people disagree. I thought Goldberg delivered an incredibly special promo the week before. You have Brock Lesnar's answer this week, and you pump it up, and he comes out and doesn't say anything. Stupid.
So my note last night was that Brock Lesnar wasn't even necessary for this promo, but now my note is Brock Lesnar was detrimental to this promo, because if Brock were not there, they may have chanted more for Goldberg. But he was there and did nothing. So was it even necessary to have him there? No. And then it was maybe more of a detriment. Now, the crowd last night was super hot, like hotter than usual, which was weird. Like even Curtis Axel was getting over with the crowd. Like, that was nuts.
They were crazy. And quickly, just because I don't want to forget it, with the Bailey arm wrestling thing, they were brutal on them. They were a brutal crowd.
They were ready for a show last night. They were ready for a show. And so I said, my note was, Paul Heyman keeps pretending the crowd is chanting for Goldberg, but they're not. Brock wasn't even necessary. In fact, he may have been detrimental. I didn't really like this segment very much. It went off the rails, and it definitely felt like the ending was sudden. I don't feel like that's where Paul wanted to end the promo, but just didn't know where to go.
They just walked out. It was awful. What happened is all I could think of. Like, what happened?
That's what I think happened. I think that they were expecting Goldberg chants because last week was so special.
But why would they expect that in Minnesota?
Well, I mean,
it literally is where he went to school. Like, you're not.
I don't know. They should have been. And Paul, like, literally what I would put in maybe the number one promo of all time, definitely top 3 for me, I would have rebounded better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know what to say about that one, but I'm super excited for Survivor Series still. And I like when those segments do get real. Like, that's what I love about live. Like, you couldn't fix that. You know, if this were a taped show, I guarantee you that segment would have been different. They could have sent Paul back out to fix it. They could have fixed the crowd audio to the way they liked it. But that's what I love about live. And the crowd wanted it their way, and they got it their way, and it threw people off. The crowd was a big part of that segment last night. And I liked how it went off the rails, but I just didn't. Obviously, the segment did not go as planned.
No, not even a little bit. I was really kind of bummed out. I was like, oh. If I was going to bet on one person making this drop in the feud, I wouldn't have bet on Lesnar and Heyman. But so far, Goldberg's bringing it, and they haven't.
I will say, if you're comparing this week to last week, you're right.
That's what I'm doing.
So, and then my final note of the show was I thought the finish to the main event was very cool with that double power bomb. Sometimes they can come off cool. Sometimes they can come off lame. Like, for example, I very rarely like when they do like a triple superplex. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I remember I was watching a pay-per-view with my girlfriend, and she doesn't really watch wrestling, but she'll keep it, like, she'll be Facebooking, and she'll be like, oh, that looked cool, when like the girls did a triple superplex. I hate those now. The first time I saw one, it was cool. Now I hate those. But the double power bomb into a pin last night worked for me personally.
It was good, and I like the finish of Owens just being a monster, and Rollins not giving up and them wanting to fight. And I have no idea who's going to win that main event. I'm sorry, that triple main event.
The 1/3 of the main event.
1/3 of the main event.
So. And still, I'm salivating for a Nia Jax appearance so that you can give us the impression.
Sorry, she didn't even come into the studio with me today. Like, she's been written off the show.
What happened to her?
I don't know. We hooked our cart to the wrong horse, clearly.
The wrong mule?
Even though I'm sure she could pull the cart further than most people and eat just as many apples.
Do you think Nia Jax is ugly?
No, I think she's very pretty in the face.
That's what I think, too.
I think she's very pretty in the face.
Yeah, I actually agree with that.
She's like if Andre the Giant was hot.
Well, listen, when the next time we see her, we need that impression because I love it.
Deal.
I don't know when it's going to be. You know, maybe they just want the entire but you know what? They have Dana Brooks and Bailey out there. Yeah. Hey, let me ask you.
The crowd hated that, didn't they?
Yeah, they sure did. Let me ask you a real quick question before we sign off. Who would win in a real fight, Dana Brooke or Bailey? I'm going Dana Brooke, I think. Dana Brooke would win in a real fight against Curtis Axel. Sorry. And on that note, hey, tomorrow or Thursday, depending on when we watch SmackDown, we'll come back with another episode. And that SmackDown review will have our Hell in a Cell predictions. Big time predictions. We're going to lock in, and I'm going to win 3 in a row. Like 3 in a row. Yeah, and I believe you. I absolutely believe you. It's a small-time show. Small potatoes. You win the small potatoes. Hell in a Cell is big potatoes. That's big potatoes. Big potatoes? Where do you see these potatoes? They're in the cell. All right, we'll be back tomorrow or Thursday. We're like the shows. We're live. We don't know when we're going to go. We're like a network special. Goldberg. Goldberg. Stop chanting for Brock Lesnar.